Hello everybody and welcome to my channel. If you like what you see, I hope you subscribe and give us a thumbs up, and in the description comments box below if you've got any comments which will help fellow riders out in the future if they're looking at doing the tubeless conversion, then please feel free to add whatever comments you want just to try and help some of us folk out. That'd be great. So when I bought the Africa Twin last year, I changed the inner tubes to heavy duty tubes, so I bought all the stuff that you need. The tyre valves, tyre levers, rim protectors to try and protect the lovely gold rims, but over a period of time I soon realised that would I want to be changing the inner tubes, patching the inner tubes when I'm touring with the wife on the back, 9 o'clock at night, midnight, in the pouring rain? No. So I looked around the internet, and this guy below, he had quite a good YouTube video of going from tube to tubeless on his Honda Africa Twin. So I've corresponded with him, and he's done it for over a year. Certainly he's done his friend's bike as well, had no problem. So this is basically where I've copied his process from. So about 5 weeks ago I converted the rear wheel to run tubeless, and that's been fine, absolutely no problems whatsoever using this exact same method. Those of you who don't know, the front wheel of the Africa Twin, the 21-inch wheel, it hasn't got a safety bead on the wheel itself, unlike the rear. So even with a tube tyre, I guess, if that gets punctured for whatever reason, there's nothing potentially to stop the tyre bead itself from slipping away from the wheel rim and dropping down into the low spot of the wheel itself, and potentially causing you some handling issues. So if you're worried about that, why go from a tube tyre to a tubeless, thinking that's the reason why they do it, then I can't see any difference between running a tube or running tubeless in the front. And the only reason I think the Africa Twin runs tube tyres, if you're a bit of a mad dog and you like to go a lot of off-roading, and you've got to lower your tyre pressures a little bit, I guess. There's always a chance with rocks and things you're going to whack a rim and put a ding in the rim, and if you didn't have a tube in it, then obviously with a damaged rim the air could escape, and that's the reason Honda, I guess, put tubes in these tyres. But as I said before, I don't do much of that. My skill set is not that whatsoever, more of a sports bike guy, but as I said, this is my first adventure bike, so really I don't want the faff of having to change a tube, a patch of tube on the roadside with either on my own or with my wife on the back at some unearthly time of the day. So tubeless it is, but as I said, if you don't like it, don't do it. So a couple of days ago I just did this conversion you're about to see on my front wheel, and I thought it was fine, but would you Adam and Eve it, left it overnight, came back the next morning, and yep, the front tyre had lost 1 bar of pressure. Subsequently found out that there was a leak coming from one of the spoke heads, and no doubt in my mind I know how that's been done. If any of you have changed a tyre in a tube before, even in the lovely garage like this, nice and heated, lovely lighting, with no pressure whatsoever, it can bring out the devil in you when things don't go your way. So I think maybe I've just been a little bit too over eager on spooning over the tyre levers, etc., and I've just cut the tape at the top of one of the spoke heads, which has caused the leak. So I had already done an introduction video to what we're about to do, but I've now redone that, and this is the one that's going to be the introduction video, just to show that things don't go the way one would expect all the time. So what I've got for you is a 2-part video. Part 1 basically shows you how to take the front wheel off and the tyre off, and then part 2 is just actually how to do the tape conversion, the tubeless conversion itself. So if you know how to take the wheel off and tyre off, you can skip the whole of this video and then just click on the link below in the description box below, and just crack on with that. If you're a little bit too unsure what to do, just watch this video and then click on the link afterwards to watch the conversion video itself. So what do we need to do this conversion? Basically a little bit of time. I would say about 3 or 4 hours just to be certain in case things don't go the way you want to. We're going to need some 3M tape. For the front I've gone for the 50mm wide stuff, which is what I use for the rear, and it's the 1mm thick tape, and this costs something in the region of £21, and I purchased it from Amazon UK. So I've actually got 2 of these rolls, one for the front, one for the rear, because I went round twice just for added security on both the front and the rear. The product reference, as you'll see in the video, it's 4411N. Some of them are 4412N, and the 2 basically means it's a 2mm thick, and the one at the end of it means it's 1mm thick. And so as I've gone around twice, I've made it 2mm thick, and the N just means it's translucent in colour. So yes, so you're going to need some of the 3M tape. The front 21-inch tyre, that measures around the circumference about 1.7 metres. So if you're going to go around twice, then you're going to need the 5.5 metre roll. But check on other sites. I'm sure you can get smaller rolls if you're only going to go around once. But as I said, I'm going to go around twice just for a bit of added security. You're also going to need some tyre valves. I went to Demon Tweaks in the UK. Again, the internet site is running across the bottom. I went for the Bridgeport 90-degree valves, and the size you want is 8.3mm. So I've used 2 of those, one for the front, one for the back, and they're £5 each. And you're going to need a little bit of a medium strength thread lock just for putting the tyre valve nut onto the tyre valve once you finish up there. And a bit of patience, a bit of perseverance, a cup of tea, and some tools, and then you're ready to go. Yep, so we are ready to go. So just a few handy hints, which obviously, having now done the conversion, I'm now able to give to you guys before we crack on. Basically, if you're going to take your own tyres off and back on again, when you insert the tyre levers, just go between the spokes when you're putting the tyre back on, just to make sure you're not going to do as I did, spooning the tyre lever and tyre back onto the rim. It just saves you piercing the tape on top of the spoke head. Maybe just don't go as mad as what I was doing when I was excitingly trying to get the tyre back on. If you've never changed a tyre before, it can be a little bit frustrating. But in the videos, I've got a link to some American chap who shows you how to take a tyre off and put it back on again, and that was very good. And once I found that, it was no problem at all getting the tyre back on. But initially there was a few blood, sweat and tears, and a few choice words trying to get the tyre back on, which is where I think I've nicked the tape and causing the leak through the spoke head. Tip number 2, I guess, I use the 50mm wide tape. They do a 25mm wide tape, and I think you'd be okay to use that on the front. Again, if anybody's used a 25mm tape, please put it in the comments below so other people will know whether to use that tape. So when I took the tyre off to install the tape, I then put the wheel back on with the front axle, and then sat in front of the wheel and then spun it. And I don't know whether that's an easier way to put the 3M tape on, or whether it might cause you more problems than it's worth. It might be easier just to put the wheel on the floor, and so you've got more room to move around, and you can make sure that the tape goes on and doesn't start to ride up the rim, which is what happened to me, as you'll see in the video. Another tip from myself is, once you have put the tyre back on the wheel, once you've done the conversion, and you plug in your air supply to pump it up, for some reason my tyre wasn't inflating, and I wondered what the heck was going on. So all I did was just bounce the tyre a little bit, and then I guess it managed to seat the wheel beads a bit closer to the wheel rims, and then hey presto, it started to inflate properly. And my final tip is, once you've done the conversion, fill a bath up with water, just enough to cover the spokes, and then put the tyre in the bath, turn it around and check for any leaks. That's the best way you can do of finding out whether you've done a satisfactory conversion. So that's it. I hope you enjoyed the video. I've enjoyed putting it together. Please make some comments below, hopefully positive comments. I've just done it to try and help you guys out who are thinking about doing the conversion. I'm more than happy having done it. I've got no issues with any potential of the tyre because there's no tube in the front of the tyre now. No problems with the tyre possibly coming off of the wheel itself, as it's 2 bar, 30 psi thereabouts. There's absolutely no way that tyre is going to come off, not for the road riding I'm doing, and other comments on the internet. Guys that have done the same conversion before have hammered their bikes off-road, having lowered the pressures, and have not had any issues whatsoever. So that's it, guys. Do it, don't do it, it's up to you. If you want to go and seek some advice from somebody, go and trawl the internet to see how other guys have got on with this 3M tape conversion. So let's take the front wheel off, and for this I'm just going to follow the Honda manual. First, and there we have it, the front wheel is out. So next thing we're going to do is take the valve cap off, deflate the tyre, and then take the tyre and the tube out. And then I've got all the, I use these bead pro from Motion Pro, very quick way of breaking the bead. I've used them previously to put heavy duty tubes in, and they make your job a lot easier. So the tyre's down. If you want to make sure you don't scratch your rims, you can also use these rim protectors, which I won't need to use for the time being. We know that there's no safety bead on the front tyre, so it should be relatively easy to break the bead. My tried and tested, I think these are Motion Pro ones again. And then you'll get to a point where you can just pull the tyre. There we go, one in the tube. And put the nut, locking that back on. So we don't lose it. Put the valve core back in. Again, so we don't lose it. And the valve cap back on. So we can use that as a spare in the tube when we're out and about if required. So guys, the tyre is now off of the wheel rim. To get to this stage, obviously I've used my tyre irons, but a very good YouTube video shows you how to get the tyres actually fully off of the wheel rims. The link is running down below.